everyone, my name is Chang Sun, and welcome to Women Data Science 2022 Maastricht Conference video series. On March 8, 2022, thousands of participants gathered around the globe for the Women Data Science Worldwide Conference. The Maastricht Conference featured keynotes, technical talks, panel discussions, and many more interesting things. In this video, Dr. Mirela Popa, an assistant professor at Maastricht University, introduces Dr. Julia Hoxha at WIS Maastricht Conference 2022. Julia talked about bringing AI innovation to the healthcare market from a founder's perspective. If you are interested, please keep watching.
Now it's time to introduce our last but not least speaker, who is Julia. She's the founder and the CEO of Zana Technologies, which is an AI startup offering innovative conversational AI technology for voice and chatbot applications. She will probably tell us more about herself, but of course she did a PhD at Casper Institute of Technology and a postdoc at Columbia University, and then she continued in this industry position. So Julia, please.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here today. Thanks again for this opportunity, and also take the chance to say Happy International Women's Day to everybody here, and thank you for the contribution that we're all doing to the field. What I'd like to give you today is a little bit of perspective as a founder working in the healthcare industry to bring solutions based on AI to the market. I'd like, of course, also to present you some the work that we're doing at my company at Zana, but also what are the challenges to bring this innovation to the industry and to make it tangible to users. Maybe a little bit about me first to introduce myself. And so by background and profession, I'm a computer scientist. I did my major in computer science and mathematics, then was a lecturer at the University of Tirana for 2 years. Continued my master and then my PhD here in Germany with focus in machine learning and intersection with semantic technologies. And then at Columbia University, I worked and did postdoc research in medical informatics, specifically in using AI technologies to exploit EHR, so health records, electronic health records for patient recruitment in clinical trials. And in 2018, I let's say switched field from pure research to the entrepreneurial world. Even though I have to say this has been a path that somehow has accompanied me during most of my life. At 19, I co-founded my first company. I've also co-founded a couple of other ventures. But as I mentioned, since 2018, I co-founded Zana Technologies. Now we are based in Berlin, and I am fully committed to the work that we're doing with Zana. And I'd like to give you a little bit of perspective what we are doing there. First of all, I'd like to emphasize again, and I'm sure we also heard about this during the talks, that digitalization, new technologies driven on data are part of the revolution that we are also experiencing in healthcare. In healthcare industry, things move slower. However, we do see a transformation, and I believe that part of the transformation is also core technologies in artificial intelligence, sometimes also compared to the new penicillin. And the potential that artificial intelligence has, and this brings us to the intersection with data science, is the ability to analyze big data and to perform automation. And then these will bring as a consequence what we want in our daily life beyond the research: better, faster, and more cost-efficient healthcare services. However, what is also my deep belief is that pure algorithms or technology alone is not fully efficient. As we see also with data science, the effort that we put in the human intelligence, so in the expertise that we contribute to all this data processing, to the AI algorithms, what it's also called the human in the loop artificial intelligence is what will certainly be and will remain the gold standard of modern medicine. And where I see as AI as having, of course, a big contribution and showing potential along the whole, let's say, patient journey or the different domains in healthcare. It starts certainly from prevention, as we see a revolution in terms of wearables and medtech and all the data that is generated, which gives us the power to get more insights about our well-being, how to prevent diseases before actually handling them. Then in drug discovery, particularly a very, very ambitious and very high potential area of research, but also of real life application in pushing clinical research through data, even through decentralized clinical studies, digital studies, or by analyzing and developing algorithm for diagnostic and new medication in rare genetic diseases. Of course, then going on into diagnostic and decision support in using all this data to personalize the treatment that we offer to the patients. And of course, smarter healthcare with intelligent hospitals, intelligent operation rooms, and so on. But in the center, what I believe all these technologies and working with this data and all these models, what they contribute is to improve overall treatment and prevention, to give more time to doctors for patients. So to relieve them from all these tasks that are very repetitive, to automate these tasks, and in the end, what we want to achieve is a patient-centric AI for healthcare. And this mission is also what drives us at Zana. Our slogan is "We make healthcare talk human," in that we are committed to bring to this industry, also through innovative technology, a way of how users and patients interact with data, interact with the technology itself. And at the core of our work is the conversational AI technology. So this is as many of you could also know, this is one particular domain in the very comprehensive, in the very overwhelming field of AI. Conversational AI deals with a set of technologies that allows to build chatbot and voice assistants, and we have built such platform with a focus on healthcare. And the technology that we have built at Zana with our team enables healthcare organizations to create and to train and to manage regularly medically compliant virtual assistants for consumer and for medical application. At the core of our platform is what we call Zana Brain, so a technology stack that basically understands the input given by users or by the patients in terms of questions or utterances or different symptoms that they report. So we have developed this model for natural language understanding and the dialogue management techniques, which basically capacitate a digital assistant, a virtual assistant to hold a communication with the patient, and basically attributing in what we call built-in medical intelligence. We're also working on deep learning technology for voice biomarkers. I will have a couple of slides to tell you more about this. And at the top layer of this technology is basically the digital application. So in the end, we cannot so we are a pragmatic company. So basically, we want to make solutions that are on the market and tangible for patients. So basically, the digital application layer is where we offer these user-centric mobile applications, or also in the form of web applications, where the voice bot and chatbot is embedded. And I'll give you a couple of examples how they are actually shaped in the product in the daily life. because this product and service offering is what we then want to, or what we give to the market and what we give in the hand of patients. And we concentrate primarily on three segments. First, our product offering in the form of patient companions for clinical studies. Second, patient companions that serve as digital therapeutics. And third, using voice as a health biomarker for different indications. So what does it mean that we offer this patient companion for clinical studies? I'll give you here very shortly two examples. So we are working in one case with a pharmaceutical company that is going to run a 4-year observational study with around 1,000 patients that are affected with atopic dermatitis, a skin disease, with over 100 centers in Germany. And what we offer with the technology is a mobile application that embeds a virtual assistant in the form of the avatar that incentivizes the patient to collect or to report data in a regular manner, and through this data we can basically understand the disease symptomatology. So what is the overall symptoms in this overall population, and what is the effect or possible adverse event that the drug, and these are very, very costly medications that they're taking, that the drug is giving to this patient population. And so this is, of course, a very new way of conducting digital clinical trials, because until now the patient have to go to the center to, it's very analog, they have to report, they have to fill paper questionnaires. So now they have this assistant on their pocket, on their phone, that is asking them regularly on their symptoms, and that they can report or get information about the disease and the medication. And second is another patient companion that we are also delivering for a first-in-human clinical trial of a medical implant, a chip that is actually implanted under the skin in the breast. And these dovetails or collects cardiorespiratory data for patients with cardiovascular disease, especially heart failure. And the app leverages the intelligence of the implant and accompanies the patients during this study to get more data about the patient, but also to have this patient connected and more incentivized to get education about these the treatment that they're taking. And the second segment is patient companions in the form of digital therapeutics. So digital therapeutics is a new way of intervention and treatment based primarily on software, but it's evidence-based, which means that you have to go through rigorous clinical trial in order to prove that this digital therapy or this digital intervention actually yields a reliable clinical outcome. And so we're doing actually there, we're putting to the market two digital therapeutics. One with which we are more advanced is a patient companion, a self-management app for a heart failure. And the other one, which actually I wanted to present to you here today, is a solution for self-management and monitoring of patients with COPD and asthma, so this is a respiratory disease, which we are developing, and we have now in a clinical trial together with Maastricht University Medical Center, and this is also the tie and the connection that we have with excellent organizers of this event today. And so with MUMC, especially with the Department of Pulmonology, we have developed this solution for patients with COPD and asthma, in which we have integrated a chatbot assistant and a voice assistant, where they can report symptoms. We can collect data from the patient so that we can detect possible exacerbation, possible deterioration of their health. And very importantly, what we do with this solution with the patients, we help them to conduct speech tasks or voice tasks. So these are dedicated tasks where we can collect the human voice with the potential of then analyzing this voice to detect deterioration of health, and more specifically dyspnea or shortness of breath. We have already started the clinical trial, And the first handful of patients are already involved in this trial, and we see how they are actually nice surprise for us and good actually news that they are committed in using the app every day to report data and also to conduct these speech tasks. And this brings us to the third segment, where we're doing basically groundwork in using voice as biomarker for health. And as I mentioned already, this app with the Maastricht University Clinic is one such instrument for COPD and asthma patient, where we collect these voices to detect dyspnea. As you probably might know, but human voice is not just the primary source for our communication, but is also a rich medium or an instrument also to detect what is the health status. And what we basically can do through technology is to detect patterns in voice, such as pitch and tone and rhythm and breathing, phonation time, coughing indicators, and so on. And these can serve as indicators of the health conditions. What we have done at Zana with our team, so this is more of R&D work, so innovation work that we are conducting. Well, we have built a pipeline for identification of voice biomarkers. So we start first with dedicated exercises of how to conduct speech tasks and how to collect voice recordings. So it's very important. Then we take these signals of the voice. We have developed methodologies for processing the audio and featuring the most important, extracting the most important features out of these audio signals in the form of spectrograms. For example, here, even though the image is small, but we can see two spectrograms where one is a person that is COVID. Is infected with COVID, another one is not infected with COVID. And we have, for example, also done some methodology in order to detect if the patient has COVID or not, very big open data set that was published online. So we're first working with open data sets. And then we develop an algorithm that basically can then serve different classification tasks. For example, for the prediction of certain health status, a condition, or for risk stratification. So I already mentioned one use case, which was detection of COVID from cough recordings. Another one where we study or where we exploit a data set of respiratory sound of around 130 patients in order to detect wheezes or crackles in their vocal patterns. And then we use these in order to predict if the patient is healthy or if they are potentially diagnosed. It's like a pre-diagnosis, actually, tool with a respiratory disease, and these include asthma, COPD, bronchitis, and so on. And with the current techniques, we have been able to achieve an accuracy of 95% in the prediction of disease presence or healthy status. Again, this is R&D work, which we're pushing forward at the University of Maastricht on one side for the respiratory disease to detect shortness of breath or exacerbations. And another, and how we're pushing this work forward is also for patients with heart failure. And for this, we have been approved for a funding by the German Ministry of Research to collaborate with the Uniclinic Würzburg here in Germany to develop, first of all, a voice assistant that is embedded in these ear sensors that you can see in the picture. These ear sensor measures physiological data. It's a sensor from one of our partners. And what we're doing in this line of work is developing a voice assistant. So imagine like an Alexa in your ear that communicates with the patients, does these exercises, collects data and symptoms, but also we will develop a biomarker for these patients, especially to detect the compensation of heart failure. So this is a critical status of their deterioration of health, which is very much influenced by the swelling of the lungs. And this belief that this edema or this swelling of the lungs that this patient experience, of course, also influences the vocal folds. And this is a thin tissue layer. So our hypothesis here is that by looking at these acoustic speech measures, and basically advancing the groundwork that we've done with other indications, then we can correlate what is the cardiac status of this patient, potentially basically predicting the decompensation of heart failure. What I'd like to very, very briefly tell you next is that doing all this innovation work is not only the startup, but especially in the university and in research and development departments, in academia and in other corporations, of course, is cool, is interesting. At the end of the day, what we try to do is also to bring this technology in the hands of people in their daily life to potentially improve their daily life. And as a young startup, the road to the market to make it as an end product that users love to use, but somebody also has to pay for it. It's of course a very challenging road. So it seems like it's a steepy road with many curves, but in the end, in the reality, it looks like this. So initially, you basically most probably go through what is called the valley of death, because many startups, many young companies to bring this innovation to the market have a very difficult road. They most of the time they run out of funding before they can consolidate the technology and make it as an end product to the market. And this is basically the gap of the commercialization to go from this cool technology that you have invented to this minimum viable product to a validated product that you can put into the market. And this curve that they call valley of death, where, as I mentioned, many startups fail, 9 actually in 10 startups don't make it through this valley of death. It takes different shapes, it has different difficulties, but particularly for healthcare, it's even steeper, it's even more problematic. And very briefly, why, in my perspective as a founder, but also by listening to the voice of other startups and companies, for example, a German AI Association, where I'm also heading the working group in health, what we see is that particularly these barriers or these challenges make these innovation transfer to the market more problematic. First of all, to look at the business benefits from the start. Having cool technology and innovative technology is excellent, but you have to think about the business benefits of this technology. The ecosystem in healthcare is complex. You have to think about the data. Data access is very problematic. And of course, a high market entry barrier. So healthcare industry is characterized by very heavy regulation. You have to go through medical device certification, clinical trials, and of course, these make the barrier to the entry even higher. And of course, this is they call it a valley of death because you don't get money enough to have the product to the market. It's related to the cash flow. So what makes this more complicated is that AI startups, especially in Europe, but more particularly also in Germany, where I'm also experiencing myself, don't get the same capital investment as they get in other more, let's say, fast-forward countries where innovation is really pushed and is really financed. And when you look at the women-founded startup or female founders, they are getting even lower capital resources. And ironically, 2021 was the lowest ever, where only 2% of startups, these are data from US, so I haven't been able to find those in Europe first, but in the US, only 2% of women-founded startups were getting capital. So, of course, this makes it more difficult. However, what I'd like to say as a final note is that there are, just to keep the encouragement and the motivation, there are ways, of course, to go to the top and to reach that vision and that dream that you have to make an impact, a really big impact in the daily life. And I really have to say that despite all the challenges and the difficulties, there is really a revolution, a digital revolution that we're experiencing. I see it now in Germany and other countries in Europe. I was looking also particularly in Netherlands for new startups. There is what they call this funding from the government, the startup box. There are opportunities for grants to get research transferred to the market. this is, for example, what I also used myself in the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, where I did my PhD. Then later I was hosted for a year and supported through this grant in order to shape this technology that I have and the research that I have developed before into a viable product. And of course, new initiatives such as European Data Act, experimentation rooms where you can validate the product before going to the market are certainly very new, but very let's say incentives to support young researchers if they want to go into entrepreneurship and make something, as I mentioned, tangible and viable for the market. And I hope that we have even more of such initiatives, and we see even more excellent female, male founders at any gender, at any age, no matter what, to make tangible and pragmatic innovations. For in the end, we want to have an impact for a better health and better life of people worldwide. And I think that with these measures, then we can really make what we can also call an AI made in Europe a reality. And I hope I gave you an overview, a quick overview of what we're doing at Zana and some of the challenges, and of course the motivation to bring this work forward. I'd like to thank you again, and also to give you, let's say, virtually this bouquet of flowers that the Institute of Data Science team sent me over the weekend. Very nice surprise, and I hope I can communicate some nice vibes to you as well. And thank you.
Thank you for watching this WIS Conference 2022 video from Maastricht. And you're welcome to watch more conference videos from WIS worldwide on YouTube. Please keep watching.